I've heard some of our fellow affected call it falling down the rabbit hole, such as Alice in Wonderland did. And once down the rabbit hole, things only become more and more strange.
Here we go, down the rabbit hole.
It returns extremely quickly, so fast that people can actually ride the boar tide as it enters the inlet. It returns extremely quickly, so fast that people can actually ride the boar tide as it enters the inlet. Today, I want to talk about Alaska and one of the worst ways you can die. The Cook Inlet stretches over 180 miles from the Gulf of Alaska to the city of Anchorage. This inlet has some of the largest tides in the world, ranging from 18 to 36 feet. As the tide recedes, it leaves behind miles upon miles of mud. Low tides last around 6 hours, but when the high tide returns, 1 minute it's as solid as a asphalt road, and the next it's like walking through jello. Horrifying, drawn-out deaths have occurred in the mud. In 1988, a young woman who was visiting Alaska got stuck in the mud with her husband. Her husband was able to escape the muddy suction, and he spent the next 3 hours trying to rescue his wife. As the tide started to come in, he left to get help. By the time people arrived back at the scene, the frigid water was up to her neck. They gave her a tube so she could continue to breathe, but the hypothermia was already setting in as the water rushed around her. Her frozen fingers were no longer able to hold the tube for air, and eventually she drowned. What causes this oobleck-like composition of this specific mud? Cook Inlet is surrounded by glaciers, and their enormous weight is grinding mechanically against the bedrock beneath the ice. The result is this incredibly fine silt that's called glacial flour, and it's carried to the inlet through waterways and the tide, resulting in hundreds of miles of deadly mud. Take one wrong step and you might be trapped for good.
Merely gazing upon its waters requires permission from a tribal chief. Welcome to Lake Fundusi, hidden in the Saupansberg Mountains of Limpopo Province in South Africa. Measuring around 5 by 3 kilometers when full, it's the only natural inland lake in southern Africa. It was formed by an ancient landslide that blocked the Mutale River, creating this natural masterpiece. To the Venda people, especially the Vatavhetsindi, also known as the people of the pool, this lake is sacred ground.
You know there's a lake where it's impossible to collect water. Even if you fill a bottle, the water will completely evaporate within 5 minutes. This mysterious lake is called Fundusi, and all the water drawn from it vanishes without a trace. Back in 1953, researchers decided to study this bizarre phenomenon. They collected water samples, but when they returned to the city, they found the containers were completely empty. Even when they tried again, the water evaporated from sealed vessels within 24 hours. It turns out that the lake's water has a high concentration of chromium, which causes it to crystallize. The crystals then settle on the walls of any container, making it seem like the water is disappearing.
This has been a Pinguinati production. If you'd like to support the channel, links are in the description.